All right, MrSotko here, and welcome back to another Company Heroes 2 replay cast. And today it is a 1 vs 1 on Kholodny Ferma. Before we get started with the replay in general, I just want to make an announcement of how my channel's kind of going lately. And basically, like every few days, I sort of upload 4 videos, and one of each of the games that I cast. I cast StarCraft 2, Warcraft 3, Wargame Red Dragon, and this game. So, like I said, basically like every few days or so, you're going to get like 4 videos, and it's going to be one of each. So if you like esports in general and just the casting and shoutcast in general, you've definitely come to the right place because you're going to get like a, cool, fun mix of random stuff, and it's the 4 RTSs that I play and that I really love. So I like to cast all 4 of the games. So that's basically the way it's going to go. And on the right side of the map, we have our red OKW player, Havoc. And on the left side of the map, we have our blue U.S. Forces player, SturmTigerFrost. It is Kholodny Ferma, so we have our victory points going straight up and down the map. Almost slightly straight up. You get the point. And we have a fuel point and a munitions point at the bottom side of the map. A munitions point and a fuel point at the top side of the map. Look at that. Oh, right there. Who would have thought? 2 riflemen for the U.S. Forces. Rear echelon troops going up to the top side of the map. The riflemen have made it to the center of the map. Nobody contesting the center whatsoever. The center of this map is a little odd because there is a church over here, which is very, very sturdy, and there is a house over here, which is less sturdy, but has more windows facing this way. So it's basically, you want to kind of tear down this fence if you can at some point in the game. It makes it a lot easier to get through there, depending on which side you are on the map. And you want to take these churches and houses to give your opponents a hard time. Now, Kuba Wagon coming down to the bottom, taking the territory. The Kuba Wagon has been changed, just in case you haven't been on this planet for very long. The Kuba Wagon was recently changed. It now does, it does a little bit more damage. It's a little bit more effective. It has a little bit more rear armor, and it also no longer suppresses, and it also takes territory now. So it's sort of a whole different role in general. A bit more of an assault and capture role rather than just suppression. And now riflemen moving on over to the right side of the map here. We got a couple riflemen that are going to get sandwiched super good here. We got Volks Grenadiers on these 2 sides, and Sturm Pioneers now on the way here. Going to try and get an extra kill, and it looks like that may be the case here. Indeed, one of them is going to fall there. Lost 2 of those riflemen out of that squad. Didn't really do anything either. As you can see, these Sturm Pioneers are pretty decent on health. The Volks Grenadiers don't look like they have been touched at all, so that was a very good win for our OKW player. However, we have 2 victory points for the U.S. Forces. So now taking down that OKW score a little bit, 484 to just 500 now. And we have a WC-51 military truck, and this is something you don't see every day. You can also put some riflemen in the back of these as well, and it gives a lot more firepower. And they're real fun to use, but they are a little bit weak and underused because of that. And he really needs to get this out of here and save this, as they don't cost particularly much. But you definitely don't want to lose it. This rifleman here may be lost. Oh, and he loses a rifleman at the beginning, and that is a huge loss for U.S. Forces players. It's a big loss for any player, really, for any military, but the U.S. Forces in general seems to really, really need those riflemen at the start. And he also lost his military truck, too. So a very bad start here for the U.S. Forces, although he does have 500 points and is taking down his opponent. But now losing those 2, that's going to be a big, big setback. The rifleman 280 in cost, and the truck, as you can see, 240 and 20 fuel. I would have liked to see some riflemen in the back of that truck. They do provide a bit of extra firepower. They all fire out of the truck, as well as the 50 cal on it too. And I definitely just needed to get it out of there faster. Now the rear echelon troops here are going to put some barbed wire in front of this cover there. That's a good spot. That's definitely where you want to put some barbed wire on this map here. Your opponent will use this cover against you, even if you're in this house or over here. So you want to put that razor wire there. Gives your opponent a hard time. Volks Grenadiers now going to be taking this center victory point here for the OKW. 2 riflemen now moving down towards the bottom side of the map, and this is basically all the U.S. Forces has. He has the rear echelon troops, and he just now has a lieutenant. Looks like he's bringing out another, or no, an M20 scout car is going to be out on the map for the U.S. Forces here. I thought it was, for a second, I thought it was a military truck, but that would be really silly of me because it's a call-in and it comes in instantly. But that lieutenant should help out a little bit with the BAR in terms of these Volksgrenadiers that are mounting on the U.S. forces. We have 3 Volksgrenadiers to just 2 riflemen and the lieutenant, which I suppose is a fair bet for those Volksgrenadiers. But you also have an MG34 on the map as well for the OKW, so there's going to be a lot of suppression. And now up top here, Kugelwagen taking that top victory point. So now 3 victory points going to be belonging to the OKW very soon. Riflemen firing out of the building here, and we have the perfect amount of riflemen in here, really, because there's only 3 windows, and in Company Heroes, in case you didn't know, you can only fire out of the windows, only 1 man per window. So sometimes you actually reduce your firepower by being inside of a building. And other times, of course, it is a very wise bet to have your units in a building because it provides a lot of protection. So that's things you have to consider. Now, the M20 utility car here, I called it a scout car, but it's pretty much a scout car. Utility car, what have you, and takes out that Kugelwagen. Also, the crew of the M20 utility car, which a lot of people forget, ran over his own barbed wire there. A lot of people forget the crew members of the M20 scout car have a bazooka, so you can actually pop them out real fast and hit a Kugelwagen, things like that, but you really don't need to when it comes to a Kugelwagen, just because the 50 cal on top takes care of Kugelwagens pretty easily. MG34 now firing away at the M20. Doesn't have incendiary rounds yet, is not a level 1 veteran, so really doesn't do too much to it. However, that Panzerschreck is a different story, and now about half health on that M20 car, and he's gonna have to back this out of here. He's gonna take another Shrek here, and just got it loaded up. Gonna fire again here. Oh, and lost the whole squad. Really, really lucky. And there are 3 Panzer Shreks there, even though that squad only had 1. That is very interesting because they kept replicating the Panzer Shrek as the other one fell. Very, very weird. I don't think I've seen that in a while.
The enemy is overrunning one of our capture points.
And indeed, that reload time, our OKW says that Panzerschreck took forever to reload. And then as soon as he was ready to fire, that guy died, dropped the Panzerschreck. The other one spawned a Panzerschreck automatically to replace that. Very interesting play there. Munitions point now being captured here by the OKW. Munitions points take forever to capture, so he's going to have to be here for a while to take this. Meanwhile, rear echelon troops have taken the territory point right up in front of the OKW base, so he's really cutting him off. He's gonna have to only gonna get resources up through there like that. And rear echelon troops here hiding behind the car, and is a better bet against Volksgrenadiers now, but I suppose it sort of evens itself out because both Volksgrenadiers and rear echelon troops of this patch received a +2 damage. The Volksgrenadiers do 12, the rear echelon troops do 10 now, I believe. Rifleman battling out here with some Volksgrenadiers, and that M20 now coming along and does some big damage. Takes out 1 man right off the bat there. And 4 total kills on this M20, and so far it's doing really well. And I think that was a little bit of RNG earlier, though. Very lucky RNG that he did not get struck by another Panzerschreck. Now Panzer II out on the field here, and it's going to be going after these rear echelon troops, or at least just going to force them away. Takes out 1 of them on the way. Now the M20 scout car cannot deal with that Panzer II. However, he did decrew it, which they have a bazooka, and he's going to try and zook that Panzer II there. Meanwhile, 1 rifleman gets taken out again, and so he's just losing tons of troops this match, and that really sets you back when that happens. It looks like he replaced these with riflemen, and it's going to keep the M20 vehicle crew outside of the vehicle for now, and use that bazooka against this Panzer II. However, the Panzer II obviously on the other side of the map right now, so it's not going to in danger at all of being hit by a bazooka yet. And he's going to take out these sandbags here, and why not? Those sandbags are going to get used against him for quite a while. M20 scout car now moving up to the top side, and there's that M20 crew, and inside you can tell that there are riflemen in here, so he decided to switch that out so he could keep that bazooka. Now the Panzer II going to be moving after the M20, but M20 backing up here and should be safely back by the time this Panzer II comes around. But the Panzer II now going to come around the quicker way here, and M20 backing up as much as possible. And it's very fortunate that he backed up that far, because otherwise that M20 there was about to hit him. Or the Panzer II was about to hit the M20. vehicle crew there strikes that Panzer II with a bazooka. Does pretty good damage, but not enough. And now the Panzer II doing big damage to that vehicle crew. Now down to 2 men and will survive, but it's going to take a beating on there. And looks like he put a bazooka on a rear echelon troop here. So he does have a little bit of extra firepower now. This rifleman here could possibly have a bazooka, but had the BAR first. But no, does not. Just has a BAR. Sturm Pioneers now moving up to the territory point here. Going to try and cut off this little capture point. And now Lieutenant and Rifleman moving after these Sturm Pioneers, both with BARs, forcing those Sturm Pioneers out of there in a quick hurry. Talking is hard. And those Riflemen with the 2 BARs, not going to happen. And now some Fallschirmjägers are out and about. Spawned them inside the house there, spawned them outside, and then probably put them inside the house, rather. And I'm going to pop those out and take some territory with them. Fallschirmjäger is so good. Nope, they're just going to go right back inside. Screw it. Now the M20 crew is back in that scout car. So now he has less bazooka power out in the field. But although he can decrew that at any time, it's just going to make it a little bit more difficult. Rear echelon troops with that bazooka going to go down there, chase after this Panzer II. But this lieutenant here is in big trouble, down to 2 men. And looks like he will survive, though. That would be a big loss to lose that lieutenant as well. Already lost 2 riflemen. At least 2 riflemen, and the military truck as well, the 50. So already has quite a bit of losses here, and doesn't really have the veterancy now because of that. As you can see, there's a little bit more veterancy on the OKW side than the US side because of those losses. If you would have had those original riflemen that he lost, they would almost certainly be a 1-star veteran by now, which is sort of a big deal on riflemen, as that allows you to use that anti-tank rifle grenade, which is quite useful in particular situations. And now decrews that M20 there, does have that bazooka squad going to go after the Panzer II now, but Panzer II way too quick. He should be able to move out of there before he gets hit, and even if he does get hit, it's going to take more than 1 or 2 bazookas to take it out. Gets struck twice there. A little bit more than half health remaining. Riflemen against these Volksgrenadiers here. We have some riflemen here that are just chilling out. Need to micro those a little bit, because it's going to stall the Fallschirmjägers there. Meanwhile, these riflemen here are going to be battling out with the Volksgrenadiers. They should win that fight, as they have better cover. They have cover, period. And they have the BAR as well. The M20 scout car here are going to push forward and try and take out some of these Sturm Pioneers. That Panzer II is right there. Going to have to decrew this. And he's going to take some shots there. And probably could have decrewed that and got a shot off on that Panzer II. Definitely needs more bazookas. He does have 50 now, so he can get an additional bazooka, which I would really like to see, because right now he's struggling with this Panzer II. Or at least a 57 to take that out, but he does not have a captain out on the field, so he can't make a 57 right now. Panzer II now in a little bit of trouble, but has the freedom to back up. Nothing behind it. 3 victory points for the OKW right now. OKW very low on points, but right now they have 3. So it's just devastating the U.S. forces points right now. So he needs to take those back immediately, as he's losing points very quickly. Now that Panzer II going to be backing all the way up to the Mechanized Regiment headquarters here. Going to get some free repairing on with those static NPCs there. And Rifleman now going at it again with Volksgrenadiers. Has that BAR, so should win this out. Although the BAR is particularly good at shorter ranges, not necessarily this range, which I'd say is medium longish with a question mark. M20 pushing forward here and firing away on the flank side of those Volksgrenadiers there. They did not have cover on that flank side. And now it's going to push forward here. Going to go after the MG. The MG is not facing this M20, so this M20 is just going to have the freedom to just blast away at this house, but I don't think he's going to do too much. We have some Fallschirmjägers right here that could just come up and Faust that M20 should they want to. He does have quite a bit of munitions. He could do it and get away with it. But really, it wouldn't do all that much either. He's going to come out the other side, and he's going to try... No, he's not going to make it, as the Panzerfaust has an extremely short range. And here comes that M20, going to push forward again, going after... Trying to finish off this MG34, nearly finished it off. That M20 doing work this game, just doing so good with this M20. The military truck, not so much. I would have liked to have seen him keep that military truck alive, just because you don't get to cast games that much with those military trucks in it, because you don't see it very often. Fallschirmjägers holding out in the church there, but probably not for too long. M20 lost there, did not get the crew out in time, and if you would have got the crew out in time, would have had a nice free crew there, or not necessarily free, but would have retained the crew of 4 and the bazooka that they contain. Lieutenant now taking the munitions point on the bottom here. Did take the center and the bottom victory point for the U.S. forces, so stopped that bleeding process. But as you can see, he dropped very, very quickly there. Now an M4A3 Sherman out on the field and going after this Panzer II. Panzer II, no chance against this Sherman. Looks like we're going to get a Panzerfaust here from the Fallschirmjägers. However, the engine is now damaged, and it looks like the Panzer II will get away because of that. Got the 50 cal on the Sherman there, and just fired some armor piercing at the Fallschirmjäger, so didn't get a kill there. Gonna try and repair this Sherman up on the spot. Nope. Oh, indeed, did repair that Sherman up on the spot there. Fixed the engine. And Schwer Panzer headquarters firing away at the lieutenant. Lieutenant, oh, looks like he ran into a shoe mine, and that was a big loss, losing that lieutenant like that. Not good at all. And Sherman here firing, looks like it is firing HE now, and it was firing that at the MG34 and did some good damage. Looks like it took out 1 or 2 there. He just reinforced that and now has to reinforce it again. Rifleman here taking the top victory point, even with the incredible losses of SturmTigerFrost so far, is what, 1 lieutenant, 2 riflemen at least, and the military truck is doing pretty good so far. Is usually always containing these victory points, so he's staying ahead of the game here. Does have an M3 Sherman on the field, so he has way superior armor. However, all 3 of his Volksgrenadiers have Panzerschrecks, so he basically has to be wary of all these Volksgrenadiers the entire time. And he is using HE rounds, but so far not very successful with those Volksgrenadiers. And now the rifleman here taking the top territory point. And nothing really stopping them, putting these Volks here in the building rather than going after those riflemen. And we have Volks down here. 50 cal inside this building here. Pressing these troops. They are behind blind cover there. But stop that 50 cal for the moment. But no, this guy right here is giving that whole squad away. What a derp. He's a Carl. And now the lieutenant here blasting away. Got another lieutenant out. Decided he needed this lieutenant, which I don't blame him. There is a lot of infantry out in the field that he really needs that lieutenant for. But you can really end up with a rifleman squad with 2 BARs, and it's just as good as a lieutenant. Or you can put another BAR on the lieutenant as well, so you can have 2 BARs on the lieutenant. That works pretty well. Armor piercing now inside that Sherman and going after the Panzer II here. He's going to get struck by the Rakettenwerfer, and it did not fire. I'm not sure if it fired or not. I think it may have and did a little bit of damage. And there it goes. It destroys that Panzer II, and the Panzer II runs into the church a little bit. Does a little bit of damage to that church, I think. And no, the Raketten, I think it bounced. Oh, and gonna eat a grenade there from those Fallschirmjägers, a bundle grenade, and did big damage to these rear echelon troops. It is a 3-star rear echelon troop, so did have 5 men in that squad. And now this Sherman in a bit of trouble here. We have the Volksgrenadiers firing away, and its engine is damaged. Is using HE rounds, but just missing bad. And he may not last here. I don't think he's going to be able to keep this. Oh, maybe. There's only one man left. Oh, and he's retreating it. Unbelievable RNG. The gods are smiling on this Sherman right now. However, we have a Panzer IV Ausführung J out in the field and moving towards this Sherman very quickly. And it looks like the Sherman is over here. Not going to happen. Is going to repair a critical to try and repair that engine. But did not happen in time there. Now Rifleman here pushing forward at the Volksgrenadiers. Volksgrenadiers throw an incendiary grenade and burning up some of these Riflemen. Just going to need to walk forward a little bit. And looks like one rifle grenade to damage that engine. Now has a captain out on the field, and I would have liked to see this captain a little while ago to deal with that Panzer II and the Panzer IV. But now he has a 57 rolling out on the field, and will be able to strike that Panzer IV. And the 57 will actually do fairly well against the Panzer IV. The 57 a little bit underpowered, as it is the smallest of the anti-tank cannons of the militaries in the game. However, it does have those armor-piercing, discarding sabot rounds, which are actually super good, but it costs you 30 munitions to use them. Alright, now going to be firing away at the house for fun, I suppose, because why not? However, we have some troops coming up around the other side that they need to be firing at rather than a totally empty house. The lieutenant here firing away from super long range out of this building here. That must be absolutely max range there. Now the Panzer IV here in the center going after the 50 cal, and this building will not take too much more punishment than that. If it took a few more shots of that building may have collapsed. And now Rifleman here, rear echelon troops, and the captain holding out against multiple Volksgrenadiers and the Fallschirmjägers, and going to seek cover behind this tiny little fence piece there. And now Volksgrenadiers have taken that bottom munitions point there, and will now hold the top victory point. But it's still not going to be quite enough just yet, as the bottom victory point still belongs to the US, but apparently not for long. And that Panzer IV gets hit by a sabot there, by that 30 munition cost, and it did do pretty good damage, but the problem is, he is out by himself. And gonna fire again here at the Panzer IV, and it's gonna take a shot, and just above half health. Lieutenant now needs to bail, and just one more or two more hits on this house is gonna drop that. The 57 being pushed forward a little bit, but this isn't going to really work out too well because that line of sight right here is blocking it. Volksgrenadiers now taking the top fuel point and the center victory point. So now all three victory points belong to the OKW. And they were at 99 points, so it was not much longer till their loss. But now going to stall that entirely. 57 all the way in the back there. Just two men remaining and very low health at that, so that could easily be decrewed by just about anything. We have another M4A3 Sherman out on the field here, and now going after these Volksgrenadiers here, but is using armor piercing, which he needs to switch that to HE. Does a little bit better, but that was a pretty good shot there without having to load the HE. Now the 50 cal up on that Sherman there as well. And needs to take back these victory points as soon as possible. Looks like we have some shoe mines right here, and something is going to run into those sooner or later. Some shoe mines going down here as well. MG34 now firing away at this whole blob. This whole blob may get suppressed. He's just going to have to run it back, and that is definitely not good. And I didn't actually see that squad get lost. But another squad for the U.S. forces, or no, for the OKW was lost. The squad for the OKW was lost. And it looks like maybe from this Sherman here, from the HE rounds, that's what it was. I thought it was, for the second, I thought it was the U.S., but it was certainly not the case. Now he needs to load armor piercing again as soon as possible here to get at this Panzer IV. And he's barely backing out, barely is going to survive this. There are 2 bazookas on this rear echelon squad, so he's actually taking quite a bit of damage. There goes an anti-tank rifle grenade, and now its engine is damaged, so he's just going to have to pull that all the way back and repair it, so that is out of the fight for a while. And so is the Sherman, for that matter. Rifleman pushing at the Volksgrenadiers here, and down to 3 men, but they do have that BAR. Now that they're close, it's just going to do huge damage to this Volksgrenadier squad. There goes a very close range incendiary grenade. Goes on to the other side. 2 men to 2 men. Volksgrenadiers decide to bail first. Center victory point and the top victory point still in the hands of the OKW, as well as the bottom for just a moment there. So 228 for the U.S. forces, 99 for the OKW right now. And a big advantage for the OKW in terms of resources, 26 to 23 and 58 to 29 there. Fallschirmjäger's blasting away at the face of these riflemen here, and I'm surprised he didn't lose. He may lose the whole squad. Oh no, and barely makes it out of there. That's so lucky. Fallschirmjägers are in negative cover there, so taking additional accuracy, took a little bit too much damage, a little bit more than they wanted to. Now the captain here going to go at a Volksgrenadier, a 5-star Volksgrenadier. And you don't want to get too close to the captain because one of them does have a submachine gun, but it looks like he is now dead. So now the captain really lost pretty much the majority of its fighting power. 50 cal is set up against this Volksgrenadier squad. Sherman firing away into the church and using HE rounds by the looks of it, by the explosion. And Rifleman down here trying to contest the bottom victory point, but has to deal with 2 Volksgrenadiers, and this squad of Fallschirmjägers moves those Riflemen there. Thought that was a bundle grenade for a moment, was just smoke. And gonna run those out of there. They are very low on health. And here comes a Panther. I guess it could have said Panzer V. But a Panther is out on the field now, gets hit by that 57, and it penetrates, which is actually somewhat surprising, as the 57 doesn't have the highest penetration, and the frontal armor of the Panther is pretty good. Gonna destroy his own Rakettenwerfer, question mark. And instead, and meanwhile, just getting struck by that 57 there. Very, very weird. Panzer IV now moved up to the Sherman here, and this needs to get recrewed. And gonna get his, is he gonna pick up this Rakettenwerfer? He does pick up the Rakettenwerfer. 1 man left in the squad. Very, very, and I can see why he wanted to destroy it now, because he thought that the U.S. was gonna take it, but I figured he could just bring up some troops and take that. But it looks like he didn't have any in the area. Sherman just got repaired and gets struck by the Panzer IV and a Panzerschreck at the same time. Now down to half health and has to bail out of there. The church not going to last much longer, not looking too good here. The house already has been destroyed. Meanwhile, Lieutenant down at the bottom here taking that munitions point. Panther going to be moving up towards the top. And that Panzer IV moving all the way back to base here. Going to go over to that regiment headquarters. Sit there and repair for a little while. And Sherman is not repairing, it's just back here. And that's very unfortunate that's not repairing, because that's time lost. 2 bazookas strike the Panther there. And now gonna go after it to try and get it again, but the rear echelon troops are right in front of Fallschirmjägers, and they're just getting mangled. And he's gonna lose this rear echelon squad with 2 bazookas. That is such a loss there. 100 munitions and the cost of the rear echelon squad, the 200 cost of that. Lieutenant is completely pinned down by the MG34 here. And the Fallschirmjägers are the same. And Sherman now chasing after these Fallschirmjägers here. And is using HE there. Took out a man instantly. And took a Panzerfaust there. Now the engine damaged once again. Rifleman trying to get to the center here, throws some smoke, and that shoe mine is still ominously there. 2 victory points for the OKW. Panzer IV now pushing forward here, going to go after the Sherman, but has to watch out. There is a 57 and a Raketenwerfer here. So we're going to get hit by the Raketenwerfer, and both not taking any damage at all. That is strange. After multiple hits on this Panzer IV, there he goes. Now its armor starting to get dinged up a little bit. And half health on that Panzer IV. Pinned Rifleman squad, going to have to retreat, but he's going to run. Oh, and that was so lucky. If you guys didn't see what happened there, the Panzer IV actually hit the shoe mine and it exploded it, set it off, just before those retreating riflemen were going to run right over it. And there was only 2 men in the squad. It would have wiped that whole squad. So I don't think I've ever seen anything as clutch as that. That Panzer IV basically saved the lives of those 2 riflemen by setting off that shoe mine. Very, very interesting. Captain pushing forward here with a vehicle crew. Vehicle crew has Thompsons by the look. No, not Thompsons. Does not have that particular doctrine. Panther pushing forward again here. Now has to deal with the 57. 57 strikes it, and 57 has really decent range. That's a very good spot for 57, covering that area there. And is using HE rounds, though, unfortunately, so that that Sherman there didn't do much to that Panther with those HE rounds, as that Panther can pretty much eat those all day. Now another Sherman out on the field here. Looks like one is using HE, the other one is using armor piercing. So dual combo here, blasting away. And these Volksgrenadiers here in a little bit of trouble. They're just taking way too much damage. Now 250 cals on top of these Shermans here, so they're just taking all kinds of pepper. But trying to take them out with these, with that one Shrek there, and I don't think it's going to happen. And to chase would not be a good idea right now. I would not recommend this. He needs to repair up these Shermans immediately. However, he needs to keep this victory point at the same time, so maybe his only choice is to chase that Panzer IV there. Looks like he switched to dual armor piercing here to deal with that Panzer IV, but not going to be enough. And that is neutralized. He really needs to take that. Looks like he's trying to take the center victory point with a Raketenwerfer as well. Now it's down to the wire, 58 to 99. Bottom owned by the OKW. Top victory point neutral. Center victory point owned by the OKW, but not for long. It's going to be neutralized here. We do have a 50 cal in front of this. No, he picked up the MG34. It's facing the wrong way, though. And 2 riflemen here that have not been retreated yet to reinforce. So he needs to retreat both of these to reinforce them and set it up in a different area. There he goes. Now realizing what's going on here. And he may not actually retreat this because he's only going to gain 1 man in that squad. So he can basically just set this up. Maybe behind this fence here might be a good idea to cover this victory point. And that looks like what he's doing now. Might be a good idea. Oh, no, but he's just going to put it back there, which I suppose will do the trick as well. I think he's actually in a slight crater, maybe. Or just getting the cover just from this man here behind the fence. But I would like to see that in the corner a little bit more. Would provide a little bit more defense from this side and the front. Captain pushing forward at the Panzer IV here. Now it's taking multiple shots. 2 Panzer IVs out on the field and that Panther. So lots of armor here for our OKW player, but quite a bit of anti-armor for the U.S. forces. Does have that Raketenwerfer and that 57 as well. So I suppose it evens out a little bit. It has a captain too with that those dual bazookas, and that Panzer IV was in trouble. But now these Shermans definitely have to get out of here. Here's 2 Shreks, and hits that 1 Sherman there, and that Sherman needs to bail out of there. He just needs to keep going and get out. The engine damaged, and they're going to chase it down a little bit here. Now they're just going to focus on this frontal one here, but there's not too much left. Loses a whole squad. They're very not good at all, and just going to have to back up this Sherman here. 51 to 72. Very, very close game. Bottom victory point, center victory point belonging to the U.S. forces. So 2-0. And the Fallschirmjäger is going to take this top victory point, but that is not going to be enough right now. It's down to the wire. He has to take something. He's going to go into the center victory point here and fire away at the MG34. The RtN gets a successful penetrating shot off on that Panther, and we'll see if it gets another one here. And does. And now down to 3/4 health on that Panther there. That was not good for that Panther. Now repairing up both of these Shermans. Looks like he's just doubling up the repair and power there. Getting them done. Even though it probably would have been the same speed just to repair one at a time. But either way, you gotta do what you gotta do. 50 cal here, taking the munitions point. And the bottom victory point here looks like it's safe. There's nothing coming to the bottom victory point. Nothing coming to the center for that matter either. He's just repairing up and healing all of his units. And now the two Fallschirmjägers, looks like they're going to the bottom, and two Volksgrenadiers are going up towards the top. Perhaps going to cut over and come across to the center and try and take that. And Fallschirmjägers up here trying to hold out, but there are two Shermans up here. And firing at this house again. He really does not like that shack at all. There he goes. Takes it out finally. There you go. That's what you deserve it, shack. And Fallschirmjägers versus Riflemen there. Riflemen are not winning that. And they're the Fallschirmjägers, unfortunately, can't win against two Shermans. Now two Fallschirmjägers down here against this Lieutenant. Lieutenant is on the wrong side of cover as well. So he's definitely going to lose out on that fight for sure. Now two Fallschirmjägers going to come down here, or just one Fallschirmjäger squad. Going to be taking this territory point here. However, he did move that 50 cal back around to the other side. Now two Shermans here against the Panzer IV and the Panther. I don't think these Shermans are going to be able to do it, though. He's going to have to do some wacky micro, and he's saving this one so far. Very, very nice. The main weapon, oh, it is damaged on the Panzer IV, so he can't do anything with this Panzer IV. This Panzer IV is ruined, so now it's just two Shermans against this very, very low Panther, and such good micro here with his two Shermans, and there are Panzerschrecks here blasting away on these Shermans, unfortunately, and here comes the Panther coming around and takes out both of those Volksgrenadiers, and now it comes down to the wire here. Oh, an abandoned Panther. One more shot finishes that off. All the armor for the OKW gone. Outrageous indeed. I agree. Those Shermans was very, very good. And lost the gun on his Panzer IV there. On this Panzer IV, so he could not fire back with that one. And just terrible losses there for the OKW. That was just very unlucky in a number of ways. Lost the two Shermans by the looks of it. Or perhaps he's just repairing them. No, he's just repairing one. And where is the other one? Does he have two remaining? I'm not sure. I think he lost one of them. But he has a second one here now. And 44 to 35 here. Each side only owning one victory point. And some more armor coming out for the OKW. And these Fallschirmjägers here getting run over by this Sherman. And one of them lost. And he has nothing else to give. He cannot lose anymore. All he has is another Fallschirmjäger. And Havoc surrenders right when it comes down to the wire. And I can see him surrendering there just because it was definitely over. He only had this one Fallschirmjäger running back on home. Had the potential to lose it too. Perhaps if the Sherman chased or if the Rifleman got a lucky shot off and only had this other Fallschirmjäger over here. And it looks like a Panzer IV on the way. So he simply just really couldn't win this one. But I hope you guys enjoyed this replay, and I will see you guys next time.